This next lesson is on multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. So yesterday we learned rules on how to multiply by powers of 10. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to divide using powers of 10. So for the next example, I'm going to represent one whole by one big square or 100 square. This is going to be one whole. So 1/10 is going to be a column or a row, so 0.1, and 1/100 is going to be a little square. Okay, keep this in mind as we go on. So here I have two wholes divided by 10. So if I have two wholes, this is the same as saying 2.0 divided by 10. So it's going to equal 0.20. I have 2/10 here. Okay. Now in this example here, I have 5/10, so 0.5. I'm going to divide it by 10 to get 5 hundredths. So my answer is going to be 0.05. Okay, I want you to look closely at what the decimal place is doing here. Now in this example, I have 3 wholes and 1/10. I'm going to divide this all by 10, and it's going to equal 0.31. So looking at all these examples that we just did, what do you recognize? Oh, I wasn't supposed to go that much. What do you recognize about where the decimal started and where the decimal ended? Okay, I want you to think about that as we keep going through our lesson today. So we learned yesterday that we move the decimal point to multiply by 10. So we move the decimal point always one place to the right when we multiply by 10. So if I have 34.25 times 10, I'm going to move this decimal point 1 point to the right, and I'm going to end up with 342.5. Okay, so I've moved it one place to the right if you saw me do that. Now, what is 342.5 divided by 5? What am I going to put in this blank? Well, divided by 10. To divide by 10, I'm going to move, if we multiply, we move it to the right. When we divide, we're going to move it to the left. So I'm going to move it one place to the left to divide by 10. Now I'm back to where I started. I started at this exact same number. So now I have 34.25. How do we know that this works? Well, we know that division and multiplication are related. So division actually undoes multiplication. Okay. So when you multiply by 10, you move the decimal point one place to the right. When you divide by 10, you move the decimal place one place to the left. So let's practice this with some exercises. We will do A together. So we have 14.5 divided by 10. Now I'm dividing, so I'm moving to the left. So I'm going to take this decimal point, I'm going to move it one place to the left. So it's going to equal 1.45. When you're dividing, you're going to know you're right if your answer is getting smaller than what you started with. Okay, if it's getting bigger, you're going the wrong way. So let's do B, 64.8 divided by 10. Following my rule, I'm going to take this decimal point, I'm going to move it one spot to the left. It is going to give me 6.48. I know I'm correct because my answer is smaller than what I started with. I want you to do B or C and D on your whiteboard, and then you can resume your screencast to continue on with the lesson. Now let's look at this one. So I have 5.831 times 100. So if I'm timesing it by 100, I'm moving this decimal places two places to the right. So it gives me 583.1. So 583.1 divided by 100, if it has 2 zeros in it, I'm probably going to move it two places to the left. So I'm going to end up exactly with what I started with, 5.831. Okay, we know this is right because the equations are in the same fact family. Multiplication and division are related. So to multiply by 100, we move the decimal point two places to the right. So if we want to divide by 100, then we are going to move the decimal point two places to the left. So we go the opposite way than what we were doing in multiplication. So let's complete these exercises. Let's do A together. So if I'm dividing by 100, I'm going to move it 2 places to the left. So I'm going to end up with 0.145 because my decimal is going to end up here. I need to put that 0 placeholder in the front. I want you to try B, C, and D on your whiteboards, and then you can resume your screencast when you're finished. Now, I want you to find 67 divided by 10. Well, we know the rule is to move that decimal point 1 place to the left, but I don't see a decimal point in 67, so what should I do? Well, we know that all whole numbers are decimal 0. We just might not see it. So if I'm going to divide by 10, I'm going to put this decimal in like it would be, and I'm going to move it 1 place to the left, just like the rule. So the answer is going to be 6.7. Okay. So let's do these exercises, either dividing by 10 or dividing by 100. So really pay attention to those zeros. I'm going to just change this one here to be 100 because we haven't talked about 1,000 yet. So complete A, B, C, and D on your whiteboards following your rules, and then you're going to resume your screencast when you're ready. So how would you shift the decimal point to divide by 1,000? So if I'm doing 45 divided by 1,000, I need to move that decimal point 3 places to the left because there's 3 zeros. So I'm going to take this decimal, I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3. The decimal needs to end here. But what do I do if there's no zeros? Well, you're going to put those zeros in as placeholders. Okay. So therefore, 45 divided by 1,000 is going to equal 0.045. Okay, I moved that decimal place from here where it originally started, and I moved it 3 places to the left. So let's complete these exercises on our whiteboards. We'll do A together. I'm going to move that decimal place 3 places to the left. Currently in 2,934, there is no decimal, so I need to put it at the end of the number. Then I can move it 3 places. 1, 2, 3. The decimal is going to end up right here. So that is going to equal 2.934. I want you to complete B, C, and D on your whiteboards, and then you can resume your screencast when you're ready. So let's remember that multiplying by 10, 100, or 1,000 makes the numbers bigger. We're multiplying, so the decimal point will always move to the right. Dividing is always going to make the numbers smaller, so the decimal point will always move to the left. If you can't remember, ask yourself, which way does the decimal point move when I multiply 34 times 10? It's going to move 1 place to the right to get 340. The number is getting bigger. Okay, so let's complete these exercises on our whiteboards as extra practice. So you're going to do A through F, following your rules and paying attention to these signs, because as you can notice, you have division and you have multiplication questions on the slide. So pay attention to the slides or to the signs. If you're multiplying, you move to the right. If you're dividing, you move to the left. When you're done, you can resume your screencast. Before you complete your exercise today, we're going to work through some word problems. You need to pay attention to the wording to know if the question is going to be dividing or multiplying. So let's look at A and B together. A is, in 10 months, a charity raises $26,575.80 through fundraising. How much does the charity raise each month on average? Well, we know that the charity fundraised for 10 months and they fundraised a total of this. I need to divide to be able to solve this. Okay, so I need to do 26,575.80 divided by 10. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Well, if I'm dividing by 10, I need to move my decimal point 1 place to the left if I'm dividing. So my decimal point is going to move from where it started 1 place to the left. So this is going to equal 2,657.58. So if we were putting this into a sentence, the charity raises $2,657.58 each month. Let's look at B. A stack of 100 cardboard sheets is 13 centimeters high. How thick is a sheet of the cardboard? Okay, so there's 100 sheets. It's 13 centimeters high. How thick is one sheet of cardboard? So again, I need to divide. So I'm going to start with 13. I'm going to divide by 100. What is that going to equal? So I'm going to move my decimal 2 places. Right now it's at the end. I need to move it 2 places to the right. Or to the left, sorry, I'm dividing to the left. So I'm going to get 0.13. So each sheet of cardboard is 0.13 centimeters high would be your answer for that. I want you to try C and D on your whiteboard together. Or on your whiteboard, sorry, paying attention to what you think it is dividing or multiplying, then you can resume your screencast. So if you completed C and D on your whiteboard, you would have found the answer for C was 575. Therefore, he paid less than average. And your answer for D should have been 1,215 kilograms. So your assignment today is your Jump Math book, page 28 to 30. And when you are finished, you can try that extension activity if you have time.